Alrighty, guys, so we are fast approaching the release of the first DCU movie. I know that the DCU officially, kicked off with Creature Commandos, but I mean, come on, let's face it. The real kickoff to the DCU is coming July 11th, 2025, and it is Superman. Now, while that's all been going on, right? While Superman has been, pushing its marketing campaign, and while it's been getting going, and trailers are coming out, and allegedly something at the Super Bowl is going to come, or the Puppy Bowl, I guess, according to James Gunn. But as Superman's getting going, and they're going to start Lantern soon, and Brave and the Bold is in limbo for some reason, and Bane and Deathstroke. But there's another movie that's actually very quietly started production, and that is the next movie in the DCU. So we got Superman, and then in terms of TV shows, I think we have Peacemaker, and James Gunn said Lanterns would be coming out in 2026 around the same time as the second movie, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. We've talked a little bit about some of the casting announcements, including Matthias, and I'm always mispronounce these names, Schoenaerts as Krem of the Yellow Hills, and Jason Momoa being cast as Lobo. And now a Deadline article a Hollywood Reporter article, but again, same kind of caliber of reliability. Hollywood Reporter article has given us three interesting nuggets here. The headliner is, the obvious headliner is that Supergirl will be appearing in Superman, which honestly I feel like is an obvious one, but we'll talk about that at the end. But the other two, actually one is the actual headline of the article, which is that the parents of Supergirl have been cast with David Krumholtz, David Krumholtz and Emily Beecham are going to be playing Supergirl's parents, and that is the actual headline. And then hidden within the article is that, big headline, of course, that Supergirl will be appearing in Superman. But then there's actually a third little nugget here, and we'll discuss this, we'll discuss this second, I think. We'll discuss this second to kind of think about, is this actually, do we take this literally, or is this more of just something that was thrown in there? And, because usually the people who write these articles are very careful with their language. But there was a little nugget in this article that says Jason Momoa's role in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is going to be a cameo. So we'll talk about that. But first, let's go in order of first the parents being cast, and then we'll talk about Lobo, and then we'll finally, of course, talk about the big one, that Supergirl is confirmed, at least according to the Hollywood Reporter, to be coming in Superman. So first of all, like I said, David Krumholtz and Emily Beecham are going to be playing Supergirl's parents. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the comic that Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is based off of, and I myself have not read it, but I do know some of the plot details, and the parents are pretty important characters. I think that, I'm not spoil anything if you don't want to know anything, but the inciting incidents revolve around the family, and we kind of go from there. So these are pretty important characters, though how big of a role they're going to play, I wouldn't say super big. But, I think with the production beginning now and with filming starting just recently, I think it makes sense that all these casting announcements are starting to come about. So it totally makes sense, that we have our parents of Supergirl, David Krumholtz and Emily Beecham. So that is the first thing. That is, of course, the obvious headline. Well, that is the headline of this Hollywood Reporter article. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow adds David Krumholtz, Emily Beecham, exclusive. Okay. So the second thing, though, that I wanted to talk about is a little nugget that's hidden kind of halfway through this article here. And I'm just going to read out this paragraph word for word so that there is no ambiguity. So this little paragraph here says, Eve Ridley is on the call sheet as Ruthie? That's what I'm going to say. I don't know how to pronounce that. Well, Matthias Schoenaerts, all these hard to pronounce names on this article. Matthias Schoenaerts is Krem. Jason Momoa is due to cameo as alien bounty hunter Lobo. So that's interesting because as far as I know, Lobo does not have any role in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. Maybe he does, but it's not a big role if it is. And I don't remember hearing any role for Lobo in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. So this is one of the deviations that they're going to be making, from the comic books. Because I don't expect that Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, the movie, is going to be a one-to-one adaptation of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, the comic books. I'm sure they're going to make some adjustments, but it seems like it's going to be largely based on the comic book. But it's interesting because, Jason Momoa as Lobo, it was, there was kind of a big deal, right? I mean, he went on Instagram and he was, shown reading the script and whatnot. And then this article comes out and says he's due to cameo in the film. And that makes me go, interesting. So maybe I had thought originally that he was going to be almost the secondary villain or something like that, or maybe an anti-hero in some sense, maybe eventually teaming up with Supergirl. But it seems like his role in the movie is going to be very limited, which of course, would make you think then he has something bigger because Jason Momoa, him being Lobo was a big deal and he had meetings with James Gunn and whatnot. So, one would assume that maybe a Lobo movie is coming, or he's going to be the big villain in something else, or whatever. Maybe the Authority he'll show up in. I don't know. I don't know where else he would fit in the DC slate. By the way, the Authority, dead silent. Nothing's been said about the Authority for a long time. So that was part of the James Gunn original slate. Anyways, so yeah, I think that is an interesting thing here. You know, it remains to be seen how big of a role Jason Momoa has. And again, you know, I said maybe this is just sort of them putting this in here just to say he's not the main villain. But usually the people who write these articles are very careful because these are scoops, right? And so you want to be as accurate as you possibly can be. So we'll see. We'll see about that. And then the third thing is the, you know, actual big headline, even though the headline of this article, the literal headline, is about the parents. But here, the article confirms Alcock was picked as Supergirl almost a year ago and will first appear in Gunn's Superman movie. So there you go. I mean, I think it's something that either was heavily rumored or sort of implicitly confirmed at some point, but makes sense, right? I mean, there is going to be some interconnectivity. Again, I push back on everyone in the comments who, you know, very well-meaningly, but says, oh no, the DCU is going to be so, you know, separate and all the projects are going to be, you know, not connected and whatnot. And I just, you know, let's face the reality and say that Creature Commandos literally had a vision of the Justice League and Peacemaker in it. Superman is going to have Green Lanterns that will then show up in Lanterns, and we'll have Supergirl that will show. It's not a good or a bad thing. I just want to point out the fact that, yes, sure, DC is going to take a different approach from Marvel. I've had plenty of videos and discussions with James Gunn's quotes where we talk about those things, and that's great. That's fine. Totally fine. But let's not delude ourselves and say the DCU, each project is going to be completely standalone. Like, there is still going to be a through line. What that through line looks like, I don't know. But anyways, that's what this, you know, to me, this indication of Supergirl is officially going to be in Superman, you know, to set up the next movie. And that's totally fine. That's great. That's what made Marvel successful. And not that DC is copying Marvel, but it's just part of what you do when you have a shared universe. So anyways, those are the three takeaways here from this article. What do you think about this, that Supergirl has cast the parents of Supergirl, and that Jason Momoa might just have a cameo as Lobo, and then of course that Supergirl will be in Superman first? Let me know in the comments down below.